worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
All right, welcome. Glad you're with us on this March 24th, 2025. Joining me today is going to be Colonel Rob Maness. We haven't heard from him in a while, so we thought it'd be good to bring him on. And let's do a national security and world national security briefing update with the Colonel. As I'm literally, as that theme music was playing, my Red Alert app started going off. 7 rockets going into Israel now. That slowed down considerably. Now there's 8 rockets. There were days where, days and days and days where that was not happening at all. And now it seems to be picking back up. 9 as from the time the theme music started till right now, 9 rockets going in to Israel. Let's talk about the Middle East, Turkey. A lot of protest over the weekend in Turkey. Let's talk, now we're at 10 rockets, so we'll keep monitoring that. Joining me now is Colonel Rob Maness. Colonel, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon, Brandon. Good to be back.
Great to have you back. I know you took a little time off to spend with family, and good for you. Good for you. All right, so what have you been following and seeing? Give me some of your bullet points of the things that you want to talk about since you were off the air.
Everything happened last week while I was spending time with my grandsons.
It was busy.
I think that the United States has made a really solid foreign policy move and national security move by taking on the Houthis that are attacking international shipping lanes coming through the Red Sea and then the Gulf of Aden. Over 300 attacks between their attacks on the United States Navy sailors and commercial ships over the last few months. So that is extremely important. And it's a historical mission for the United States Navy. I have one U.S. Navy picture in my office. It's titled Payment in Iron. It's a picture of the USS Constitution leading a U.S. Navy fleet attacking the piracy and the pirates on the Barbary Coast and landing U.S. Marines there. So I think that's a really good move. I think it also puts more pressure on Iran, which has, 2 or 3 consequential effects. One, obviously, to reduce their support for the Houthis and put the Houthis back into their borders, so to speak, so that shipping lanes are free and we're free to navigate without being attacked. And so is everybody else, by the way. That's number one. Number 2, though, it puts the pressure on Iran and their backing of their proxies like Hamas, Hezbollah throughout the Middle East region, which helps Israel in its effort to rid itself of these enemies that are all around its borders, really, so to speak, that are supported by the Iranians and really are the Iranians' effective forces there that are trying to destroy that country. And then third, our renewed presence in a forceful way will help pressure Turkey, our NATO ally, to back off in this idea that Erdogan wants to reestablish the Ottoman Empire as it would look today.
Well, let's talk about Turkey. I mean, their streets are exploding with protesters. I guess Erdogan has arrested his political opponent. Is that right?
That's what I understand, yes.
And these young people, I guess, again, just like in Iran, there are a lot of people in Turkey that want to be free. I think a lot of us forget that Israelis used to take vacations in Turkey. They used to go to resorts and vacation in Turkey. There's a lot of people in Turkey that want to be free, just like in Iran, correct, Colonel?
Yeah, Turkey at one time had a government that wasn't a theocracy. And that's why they were allowed to become a NATO ally. That's why they've been, part of the European Union and the economic factors and those kind of things. It's because while they're not a complete westernized culture and everything, they were reasonable. But Erdogan's power structure now is one that's leaned all the way into an Islamic state, and with the intent of spreading that and, like I said, reestablishing some version of the Ottoman Empire by him specifically. That's why he's doing everything he can to hold on to power. And I think it's good news that there are protesters that are protesting his activities and his actions, because they're hurting themselves. They're hurting themselves economically. They're hurting themselves from a freedom of religion perspective. I mean, my goodness, they turned the oldest church in the area, probably in the world, the Hagia Sophia, into a mosque, which is what Islamist republics, Islamist governments tend to do when they say, to exemplify themselves as the conquerors of something. And, the young people in Turkey didn't grow up under that type of government and that type of culture. And I'm sure that most of them don't want it.
Let's go to a post that you put out, that you retweeted, and that was of the former, I guess she's a former CIA, what's her title here? Sarah Adams. She's a CIA alum. She's been warning that we have a massive terrorist attack coming in the U.S. And she says that January 6th October 7th was a dress rehearsal for attacking the Homeland. That what they have planned here for the U.S., she says the planned attack is much bigger in terms of scope. Now, this, I think, fits with what we've been talking about here since, I think, 2007, 2008, and that is the school attack in Russia, where they took over 300 hostage, the Islamists did, and killed the vast majority of them. They rigged the Beslan is where it was. They rigged the gymnasium with explosives, wouldn't let the kids have any water. They were urinating in their jackets or sweatshirts that they'd taken off, and then drinking their own urine. I'm not trying to be graphic, but other than just simply say, this is how desperate these little kids became in this scorching heat. At the end of the day, when a military team went in to raid it and try to rescue them, the vast majority of them died. We started reporting back then with guys who were on our show in 2007, 2008, saying that was all a dress rehearsal for what's coming to America. Now you add October 7th to it. What are your thoughts about this information, particularly Sarah Adams saying that it's already in motion? She's saying the plan is already done. It's just going to be far bigger in scope.
Yeah, and I'm tracking on what she's saying. Her background is as a CIA targeting and analyst, and she was in Benghazi when that debacle went down. Has been working on the Afghanistan, the Taliban, the Al Qaeda, the ISIS problem for many, many years. And she says that just today she talked about how October 7th operation took about 6,000 troops that invaded the southern part of Israel, and over 2,000 of them were not Hamas. They were from external sources. So that's a huge operation, right? In a very small geographic area. So why would you be surprised if after what we've done, for instance, with the Taliban, giving them all of that military gear, we give them millions of dollars every month still, unless they've got those funds turned off in the Trump administration. The Trump administration just took the bounties off of the leader of the Haqqani network, which is the network that was feeding the Taliban and the Al Qaeda forces inside Afghanistan. Those kinds of things. So why would you not think that they could get several thousand Islamists inside of the United States after 4 years of Joe Biden allowing millions of people to come into this country through the southern border, through the CBP-1 app, all of those pathways in, and with very little oversight and very little review of who these individuals were. So you should expect a very large attack. It'll be much more than just taking over one school, but it will focus on what Americans love most, and that's our children and our economy, and it will be widespread, and it won't surprise me if there's more than 10,000 warriors that are already in the country or are about to be in the country because they're in camps across the border and in places that are controlled by the cartels. That's another good reason why the DOD is now involved, and we're using our intelligence forces to collect on that area.
do you see it being something that takes place in one massive day like October 7th did, or over the course of a couple days?
Oh, I think it'll be more than one day, depending on what our response is and why. And when I say our response, I'm not just talking about government forces responding. I'm talking about the American people. You know, if you have not been talking to folks in your community about how to defend your neighborhoods and take care of each other, you should be doing that. I encourage people that have been doing that for years. But this is critically important. There are a lot of people in this country from all sorts of backgrounds. And when you just think about the potential numbers from Islamists, terrorists, and Chinese military-age males, and knowing that they work together, knowing that they work together and collaborate with each other, and then you throw the drug cartels onto that and know that they understand the logistics, the communications of everything they get into and out of the country, should be concerned.
Tell me about the drug cartels in Mexico. How concerned are you that they are working in concert with Islamists? I mean, we've heard reports over the years of digging tunnels into the U.S. for smuggling drugs, but the terrorists were willing to help pay for some of that in order to smuggle in weapons. How concerned are you that there's a partnership between these cartels and the Islamic terrorists?
Very concerned, and the evidence is there. You know, there was some spurious reporting earlier in the year about some Iranian shoulder-fired anti-aircraft missiles, man pads, we call them here in this country, smuggled into our country. There's been follow-on reporting to that that is confirmed that those assets actually are in the country. And that's just one tiny little operation. So we have direct evidence that the cartels work with the Iranians, they work with the Venezuelans, and all of those are entry points for ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran. And we know the Iranians work with the Venezuelans very closely. So the cartels are, as you think about it, right this moment, they're trying to build up as much force as they possibly can because they already know what's happened. I mean, I think the Mexican government rolled up 29 of their leadership and gave them to us not too long ago. That was based on our intelligence assets finally doing national security intelligence operations, both in the skies and I believe on the ground and in the cyber domain, to find those folks and give that information over to the Mexican law enforcement and military force so they can pick them up. So they want as much power as they can, and in order to do that, they have to have as much combined military force as they can put together.
When we come back with Colonel Rob Maness, let's talk about Ukraine and Russia, where that's going, NATO, France, putting out document telling their people to prepare for war, all the war drums that the European Union and NATO are beating on. And then let's go to Mike Walls, the Middle East envoy for President Trump, and what he has to say about Iran and their nuclear program. A lot to get to in our remaining 15 minutes with the Colonel before he starts preparing for his broadcast. So we'll get to it right after this break. Please stay tuned. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHouseBG.com. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Don't forget, we're coming to Milwaukee, Waukesha to be precise, April 15th. That's a Tuesday night. Our Worldview Radio Understanding the Times rally. It's free, but you got to register, so we can be sure to have enough seats available. You can do that at worldviewtube.com/events, worldviewtube.com/events, and register. Make sure you register every individual you're bringing with you independently. Hey, last night was lesson 34 as I'm teaching through the book of Revelation. Started out Revelation chapter 14, verse 1, made it a few verses in. And we've got an angel flying across the sky, preaching the everlasting gospel. We also have more information about the 144,000 Jewish evangelists. So that was the theme last night. The 144,000 and the everlasting gospel, lesson 34 last night. It's now available if you missed it. If you missed it at 8 o'clock, worldviewtube.com last night, 8 p.m. Central. It's now available at worldviewtube.com. Logan said we have about 6,000 streams going last night. Again, I say if you were to walk into a church service on a Sunday night and you're 6,000 people sitting there, that's a pretty good sized church service on a Sunday night to study the book of Revelation. But here's the deal. There's likely more than one person watching each of those streams. A lot of husbands and wives, sometimes moms and dads and kids, but let's just assume a husband and a wife, that's 12,000. So there's a lot of interest in this study on Sunday nights. And that's not counting the replay. That's just when I'm on the air on Sunday night, doing that Sunday night church service. So I hope you'll follow up and watch it if you haven't. If you did, maybe share it with family and friends. Invite them to join us on Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Central at worldviewtube.com. But in the meantime, you'll find lesson 34 there at worldviewtube.com. Joining me is Colonel Rob Maness. You ought to read his bio. He's one of the 3 guys that helped write the black notebook, the black book that goes with the nuclear football carried by the president. For security reasons and other reasons, we're not going to mention when or where, but let's just say we have some big events planned that will involve us bringing about 2 to 3 of our film crew on location and at some really cool sites that involve the Air Force and the history of the Air Force. And I was on the phone this morning for about 30 minutes with an Air Force representative, and we're getting everything worked out. And guess who's going to show up on site and be there? Former Air Force Colonel Rob Maness. So we got some big things planned coming up very soon. I think you guys are going to thoroughly enjoy it. I'm excited about it. We'll let you know about that more as it gets closer and closer. And I think we'll be broadcasting live on one of the days with VCY America from the location that I'm about to talk about soon. Okay, now let's go to talking about Mike Walls, the Middle East envoy for President Trump. He says full disarmament or the full dismantlement of nuke program, or there will be consequences. This is coming to a head, Walls said. All options are on the table. Tell me your thoughts about this. I know that David Pine's been on with me quite a bit. He's concerned about this escalating, that this is something we don't really need. It's going to distract our military and get us in a theater here. And then we got Ukraine, Russia. We've got, if we sound something off here with Iran and pull some of our fleet out of the Indo-Pacific, which happened last week, headed toward the Middle East. This leaves an opening for China to move against Taiwan. Then you got problems in North Korea, of course, with Little Rocket Man. South Korea seems to have some leaders that want to join North Korea. I mean, the world's kind of on fire right now. Do you think we ought to be doing too much when it comes to Iran, or slowing this thing down with talks, negotiations?
Well, peace through strength is exactly that. There's some unconfirmed reporting that the Iranians are messaging the Houthis that they need to de-escalate at this point. And that's because President Trump, as the commander-in-chief, is having the United States military arm of foreign policy do what it's done since the 1700s in the Jefferson administration, and that is protecting shipping lanes, international shipping lanes from pirates like these Houthis are. And the Iranians are the people that are actually propping them up, just like they do the Hamas and Hezbollah proxies. And putting pressure on the Iranians is the absolute best way to get the Houthis to stop attacking ships in those international waters that are going by their coast. Because just these airstrikes alone are not going to reestablish deterrence. While they're very effective, much more effective than the Biden administration's failures, and this operation is ongoing, which it needs to be to continue to eliminate the Houthis' capabilities that are allowing them to reach out into these shipping lanes. The Iranians continuing resupply, support with targeting and command and control with 2 ships that are off the coast of Yemen and have been for quite a while. We know where they're at. That something needs to be done about that. There was some spurious reporting that we had attacked those ships earlier in this operation, but I don't think that's come out to be borne out to be true. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't eliminate those ships' capability, and whether that's through violent force, through electronic means, or some other methodology, it needs to be done. And putting pressure on Iran doesn't necessarily mean military force attacking targets inside of Iran. We had them on their knees in the first Trump administration before Biden brought Obama's weak policies back in over the last 4 years, and we can do that again.
Let's talk about Ukraine and Russia. What do you think is going on there, and how concerned are you with the I guess, pro-war, World War III advocates in Europe?
Yeah, I think, the peace process negotiations are going about as what most people expected. The president and his team have both sides talking to them at this point. That doesn't mean that there's a total ceasefire, but there have been some elements of particular ceasefires that have been agreed to and held, I believe. I haven't seen any reporting that shows any violations of those limited ceasefires have happened and everything. So those are all positives. But the negatives are the Europeans. Not that we don't want the Europeans to step in and take the leadership role in defending themselves against enemies that, like what if they say that the Russians are going to come and try to take over the continent, which I don't believe for a second. I haven't seen any intelligence matters at all or indicators at all that show that Vladimir Putin and the Russians want to roll into Western Europe like the Nazis did in the late 1930s, or even attack other Eastern European countries that are part of NATO. There are no indications whatsoever that they want to do that, although they are building up a little bit in Belarus. But Belarus is a friendly country to the Russians, and it's on the northern border of Ukraine and the eastern border of Poland, and helps the Russians maintain their hold over Kaliningrad, which is a small area on the Baltic Sea there. So what we have is a tenuous set of discussions going forward that are all positives. And I think as long as Zelensky maintains his current pathway and cooperating with the President of the United States, and Putin maintains his current pathway, I see light at the end of the tunnel as far as stopping the killing, which is the primary goal of the Trump administration and the United States of America now, is stop the killing, and then let's start sorting this out to see where we're at. The problem, there's a couple of problems. The neocon side of the Western intelligence agencies, the foreign policy apparatus, primarily of the United States, that really had a big part in causing this mess in the first place, is still out there, still pushing back against peace plans and those kinds of things, says that the president is caving into Putin by even discussing that he can keep the elements of parts of Ukraine that the Russians have occupied. Now, there's two sides to that story that we could spend hours and hours on, as far as where the Russians are occupying in Ukraine right now, and that all needs to be discussed to see what happens. But I don't see any future that the Ukraine's probably going to be able to get those territories back, because they were attacking the Russian-speaking and Russian ethnic people in those areas in a civil war long before Putin ever went in there in February 2022. But the question is, can the Trump administration internally suppress these folks that are the warmongers, pro-World War III people, while at the same time encouraging the Europeans to take control of their own destiny and leadership, but not allow them to drag us into World War III, independent of NATO and independent of this, like they did in World War I and World War II. We don't want that to happen. So some of this aggressive discussion, I believe, by people like Macron and the German Chancellor and even the NATO Secretary, is intended to scare the American people so that we put pressure on the Trump administration to stay in NATO, for one, to not completely disengage in Europe, because we know what I just said, that the Europeans have drug us into a land war on the continent of Western Europe twice. And billions of Americans hurt and killed and families destroyed over those two wars, and we don't want it to happen again. So some of that is an influence operation, maybe even being conducted by the EU itself. And we just need to be cognizant of that while continuing to encourage them to spend their dollars on their own defense and build up their capabilities so that the United States isn't constantly having to come over there and get them out of hot water.
Let's, in the remaining moment here, tell me your concerns when it comes to Russia defending Iran's nuclear program. How are we going to deal with that?
I don't think that Russia will actively defend their program, to be honest with you. I think that's a nothing burger, quite honestly. However, like I said, we don't need to go in with kinetic and military violence and kinetic operations in order to get that back down. The other wild card there we haven't talked about yet is the Israelis. The Israelis are free to defend themselves in whatever way they see necessary, and they are not going to allow the Iranians to have a nuclear weapon. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some type of military operation from the Israelis once they get this Hamas problem, or even while they're in tandem, in parallel with this new southern Israel Gaza military operation.
And they're ratcheting up. I mean, we've got video footage here of their tanks lined up on the border, ready to go in. And by the way, we are getting more alerts on rockets going into Israel. There are some reports that are ballistic missiles, but we'll have to confirm that. But we are getting reports while we're on the air. Aaron, Logan, you want to see if we can track down Aaron, please? But they're loading up here, getting ready to maybe go in and full scale take over Gaza all the way. They got their tanks right on the border all weekend. We've been watching this footage. What are your thoughts on this before we have to let you go?
Well, I've always said that they need to demand Hamas do one thing: unconditional surrender, or they be eliminated with extreme violence. And the Israelis appear to be prepared to do that.
Yeah. RobManess.com, RobManess.com. He's also each and every day at WorldviewTube.com, WorldviewTube.com, live and on demand. Colonel, we got some big things in the works this spring. We're excited about it. Look forward to announcing it soon.
Yeah, my show today is More War Monday. We're talking about the war against the Houthis and the Iranians and protecting international shipping today.
Excellent. You can catch it at RobManess.com and WorldviewTube.com. Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
Colonel Rob Maness checking in, folks. Hope you'll check him out on social media, X as well. You'll find it all at RobManess.com. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Is the government tracking you? Do they have access to all your data? Well, if you go to worldviewtalk.com, you'll find out about a cell phone company that, well, does not store your data. They don't do that. This is what they're known for. They don't store your data. You have privacy. You're not being tracked. That's why a lot of folks are turning to worldviewtalk.com. You'll find their prices are very competitive. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com. Again, worldviewtalk.com. Oh, while you're there, not only do they have cell phones that aren't tracking you, you can find out about how to get a satellite phone. Should the whole system go down and you want to communicate with a family member or a loved one, you might want to have a satellite phone. Or how about their solar generators? They have great solar generators. Check them all out right now. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Yeah, we are getting reports now. Jerusalem Post that Hamas has published a hostage video, but we're also getting Houthis launched missile from Yemen, but we're getting reports it's more than one. It's multiple. As I said, as we were coming on the air, we had 10 of them racking up on my Red Alert app, but now we're getting reports that it may be more than that. We'll have to try to confirm that. So we'll also try to reach out to Aaron, who is now in the States, and he'll be with us live on the ground in Milwaukee at the Waukesha Expo Center on the evening of April 15th. Again, that's a Tuesday night. It is free, but you must register. Please consider doing so at worldviewtube.com/events. worldviewtube.com/events. By the way, our national conference, we moved to Collierville, Tennessee, which is where we're based. It's a very nice middle upper class suburb of Memphis. Don't worry about what people say about Memphis. They say the same thing about St. Louis, Kansas City, other places. As long as you stay in the suburbs, you're pretty good. And that's for sure for most of these places, right? Major cities. And this is a nice community, Collierville. And we have a beautiful theater that we've rented. It only seats 350 people. That's it. And already 100 seats are gone. So if you'd like to get full details on registering for our national conference, October 3rd and 4th, full details are available at worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. In the globalist World Economic Forum news, here's a headline: online anonymity could end in Belgium with the introduction of mandatory digital ID. Similar moves seen across the EU, the European Union. So again, this is in keeping, folks, with what the World Economic Forum was saying in their document back in 2018. You want to vote? Digital ID. You want to get on a plane? Digital ID. You want to get online? Digital ID. You want to be able to buy or sell online? Digital ID. So now Europe, they're saying we're going to a digital euro, hopefully by this fall, by October. And isn't it interesting that Europe seems to be leading the way with this complete digital euro that will absolutely usher in total state control. I mean, we have a guy over there in Europe who was just arrested. If I can find the article. Oh, he was fired, okay? He was fired. We've had people arrested for saying benign things online about Islam and the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas people. But there was a British worker, according to Jewish News Syndicate, British worker fired after condemning October 7th massacre and Hamas. I read what he posted, folks. It was nothing. 1 year ago, our valued partners and friends, Israel, were horrifically attacked by a group of violent and disgusting terrorists. I can say with confidence today that the vast majority of STW's employees, that's the sewer company he worked for, Servant Trent Water Company. The vast majority of STW's employees stand in solidarity with our Jewish, Israeli, and Zionist colleagues against the evil of Islamic terror. Well, end quote. That's all he said. And then he attached an image of the flag of Israel to his post. That got him fired. Apparently, it reflected badly on the company's reputation as a diverse and inclusive company. So that's what they said. So their inclusivity program includes Hamas, includes the rape of women, the cutting off of their breasts, the cutting off of the foot of a child, gang raping women, and then shooting them in the head, as that's what happened. So are you telling me this guy, what did he say that was a problem? It was 100% appropriate, acceptable, necessary, should be lauded and praised. But now diversity includes that we don't want to be seen as being intolerant toward rape and murder. To the point, frankly, and I hate to say it because we have some listeners over there in Europe, but Europe, the fact that their people have not risen up and dealt with this, and maybe they can't, maybe their elections are rigged, I don't know. I know they vote with paper in France, so I don't know how that could be rigged. But again, they've let in so many illegals. Maybe the illegals now, who so supposedly become citizens, are overwhelming the vote. I don't know. But I couldn't live there. I could not broadcast from there. I couldn't say the things I say on the air there. They would not allow it. Not on terrestrial radio. Certainly, we see now even online. But isn't this part of the left? Now, when the left, let me tell you something, folks, and I hate to say it, but when an October 7th style event happens in America, the left, they're going to blame it. They're going to blame it on the Jews. They're going to blame it on the Jews. They're going to blame it on people like me and Usama and Sharam. They're going to say that we caused it. That we were involved in Islamophobia, hate speech, that we caused it to occur by making these people feel oppressed, inferior, not accepted, that you created these people, those of you that condemned Islam. You watch. There will be many on the left that will say that. There'll be others on the left that will have no way to explain or understand an October 7th style event in America. They won't have any basis for which to make a determination of what that is all about, because it will be everything opposite of what the media has told them. The media has told them that Islam is peaceful. It's a religion of peace. These people just want to get along. But they don't understand that they mean peace only after you have submitted. So many on the left are not going to be able to process it. And there will be those, I think, on the left, some of them who still have the ability to think and reason, that will come to our side. But pray for the people of Great Britain, of Europe. This is the Christians and the mosques, the churches being turned into mosques, and the people being harassed and fired and arrested for doing what any good Christian or patriot should do: speak truth. All right, we do have Aaron. We were able to track Aaron down with the breaking news of more missiles going into Israel today. Literally, as we were coming on the air, my red alert app started going off. The last count I had was 10, and then I had to turn my attention toward the broadcast, so I'm not sure. But we do have one dead, one wounded in Galilee, and a terror shooting. Now, these are becoming more common in Israel as well. Of course, this is also with the report of Israel eyeing full occupation of Gaza, which I think they should do. Apparently, the Prime Minister Netanyahu and our Secretary of State, Rubio, have discussed the war in Gaza. And recently, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, tweeted out the United States and our unwavering, that was the word that was used, our unwavering support for Israel. And now we have the Middle East envoy, Witkoff, saying that he may have been duped by Hamas. Well, I don't know how much he knows about Hamas, but he's free to call me. I've done 11 one-hour shows on Hamas. I can tell him all he needs to know about Hamas to let him know you're dealing with liars, professional liars, who by takia can lie to you and will, whose charter says that all the treaties, all the negotiations are a waste of time. So if they're willing to do it, folks, they're only doing it for one reason. That's to buy time and rearm. To buy time and rearm. And that's exactly what it seems as though has happened. And we have Aaron confirmed in the call. We'll add him. But it seems as though that's exactly what happened with this ceasefire that we had. It now allowed thousands of Hamas fighters to move into Gaza. So all you're doing when you hold ceasefires is letting them arm up and invade more of Gaza, which, again, I understand the desire to get these hostages back. I totally get that. I understand that. Let's see, what else do we have? Let me go to another website real quick, see if I can get some more on these rockets coming in here. It's happening so fast that these sites we follow are not able to write the articles fast enough to get on board with it. Let me just check another news outlet real quick. Let's see what I can find. Yeah, the red dots there, and now I've got a map. I've got a map now, and the red dots are showing up for rocket attacks. I don't know if we can, well, try to see if we can verify this or not. Let's do that. See, we got Aaron now. Aaron, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Where are you today?
Brandon, great to be with you. I am in, where am I? I'm in Indiana.
Okay. Well, as I was coming on the air, literally as the theme music was playing, my Red Alert app went off. I don't know if you have yours on, and I got 10 rockets coming in, but we have maps showing a lot more than 10. Are you able to verify how many rockets have now gone into Israel today?
Dozens and dozens, Brandon. I don't know the exact number, but there you go. There you see the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And the war is ramping up. We're back into full on. And we are penetrating. We are hitting Hamas very hard, including two top Hamas leaders, Ismail Bahran, who was the new Palestinian Authority Prime Minister, Brennan. We have eliminated him and his brother and 4 key operative leaders of Hamas. So if you look at a chart at the beginning of this war and you see all the Hamas leaders, there's not too many left to take out. And as I say, the two of the top leaders today and 4 others were eliminated, as well as hundreds of ammunition installment places, trucks with weapons. So our military are determined. They have the will. They have the determination. And as Benjamin Netanyahu said the other day, all negotiations from now on will be made under fire. We are not playing any more games with Hamas. And so that's what we are doing.
And we are, with the Wall Street Journal as a headline, Israel is killing Hamas leaders in quick succession. So there you go. Now, we played video for TV a while ago, and I described it for radio. Lots of tanks, lots and lots of Israeli tanks on the border getting ready to go into Gaza. There's talk now of full occupation, just going straight on in to Gaza. What are you hearing?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm hearing. The word annex is on the table. And Brennan, this is our moment. This is our time that we are looking at taking over Gaza. We pulled out in 2005. And when I say we pulled out, there were only 7,000 Jews that lived there in 2005. They owned a few settlements. So we pulled out. 7,000 is a decent number, but we pulled out. And now it's time that we go and annex the Gaza Strip. However, yeah, there we go, killing leaders in quick succession. However, something very big, very important. Egypt have agreed in principle to allow between 500,000 to 700,000.
All right, hold right there. We'll be right back with Aaron. Don't go away. We're not changing courses now. We are who we are. We're committed to the truth that we are committed to. Worldview Tube is a broadcast network that I started in 2006, but it's based on my 35 years as an author and speaker and commentator. Worldview Tube is here to defend the truth of a Christian worldview. And we believe we can apply it to all areas of life, like law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, major issues.
At worldviewtube.com, we provide news from around the globe that isn't typically covered by mainstream media. Visit worldviewtube.com to watch our experts and analysts discuss all your favorite topics on our 24/7 live stream. Explore our extensive collection of unfiltered and uncensored content from 35 years of production. Go to worldviewtube.com today. Also find us on all of these major platforms and download our Worldview Tube mobile app.
And of course, we have an 85-year-old man that was killed in Israel today in a terrorist attack. And now we have a report of at least one ballistic missile coming into Israel. Thankfully, the Iron Dome took it down, but this ballistic missile by Yemen intercepted over Tel Aviv just moments ago. That was about 24 minutes ago by reports. Pick it up there, please, Aaron.
Yeah, I know very well the exact area where that terror attack happened. It's like 25 minutes away from where I live. And it was not a Palestinian, it was an Israeli Arab. That is always concerning when the Arabs that live among us, 2 million of them, who serve in the police, in the justice courts, who knows? Who knows? They just decide. So that was very sad. And yes, the ballistic missile that was fired, however, it was intercepted by the United States military. So we're very thankful.
Whoa. You're hearing that ballistic missile was taken down by us?
Correct.
Not the Iron Dome.
That's not what I heard, unless that is an update. I heard that it was taken out not over our territory, well before it reached our territory, and just the other day when we wanted to retaliate, the Americans said to us, no, don't worry, we will take care of the Houthis. So that does need to be clarified, but I'm pretty sure it was intercepted by the American military. And as I say, they told us specifically, don't get involved with the Houthis. We will deal with them. And the Americans are dealing with them. Believe me, they are pounding Yemen. And the people of Yemen, 2/3 of the people are not Houthis. 2/3 of the people, just like Iran, they want the Houthis done. And America are doing the job, and they're doing it powerfully, and they're taking out these leaders, and these are funded by the Iranians. And I said the other day, already we have taken out the two main proxies of Iran. That's Hezbollah and Hamas. The Houthis are the next big one. If we can take those out, or should I rather say we and the Americans, then I believe, Brennan, both of us, we're going to focus on Iran. Trump is ramping up his rhetoric. He's continuing through his ambassadors and spokespeople. He's continuing to threaten the Iranians, but at the same time, he's giving them chance. He's giving them opportunity. And from what I've heard, the latest, a few hours ago, I read an article, they are considering allowing United Nations inspectors to come in, whatever that means.
We're also hearing from one of your news sites that there's almost not one house in Rafah that does not have a tunnel shaft. What are you hearing about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And this, by this stage of the war, this is not surprising at all. You know, we've still got approximately 250 miles of tunnels that have not been dealt with yet. And that's going to take a number of years to deal with. So this report, not one house. So what does that say about the Palestinian population in Gaza? Whether they were forced to have these tunnels under their homes, or whether they were coerced, or whether they agreed. The fact of the matter is Hamas are the guilty ones, and there's no such thing really as an innocent person in Gaza. Now, I started to report before the break, Egypt now have verbally agreed in principle to allow between 500,000 and 700,000 Palestinians to leave the Gaza Strip and to go into the Sinai Peninsula. Brandon, what does that mean? It means that they're giving in to Trump's plan. They don't have another plan. It looks like Gaza Strip is going to be another Guam. It's going to be another, what is it? Is it Puerto Rico or Costa Rica, one of the American colonies?
Costa Rica.
It's going to be another American colony. That means you can come over, Brandon. You don't even need a visa to get into the Gaza Strip anymore.
Oh, wow. All right, tell us where you're speaking. Can anyone listening in Indiana come hear you speaking somewhere?
Absolutely. Well, it's on my website. It's all up. It's all a list. I spent the weekend. I had 3 meetings. My next meeting actually is on Wednesday evening, And then on next Sunday, before I move on to Arizona, but I had a great few meetings over the weekend, real good Southern country music out here. They're all Southern Baptists. And I've been spoiled rotten with deep fried food, but the country, Southern country music in the churches has been wonderful. And the people, they really love the Lord. They love Israel. So it's been really good so far.
And it's all at lighttothenationsministry.com, your schedule.
Absolutely. You'll see one of the boxes. It just says speaking schedule. It's all laid out there from Indiana, just over a week, actually a week today. I go to Arizona. From there, I go to Texas, then on to, and then of course I've got Wisconsin, the day conference in there. And then I move on to California. And then finally, I'm going to be with Shaham in your neighborhood in Tennessee. And I hope I can come in and sit with you in the studio.
Well, we're hoping you can. We're hoping you can. Here's some more breaking news. Over 20 Hamas terrorists were successfully killed by the 14th Brigade in less than 4 hours in Rafah, and over 30 were arrested.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's this is a new breed, a new, with our new defense minister and our new top general, new blood. That's what I was looking for. New blood. As Netanyahu said, all negotiations will be under under fire. And I'll tell you what has strengthened Benjamin Netanyahu, not only the new defense minister, not only the new general, but Donald Trump. He, coming into his position, fighting on our southern front, talking the Middle Eastern language, the language of our enemies, and they are backing down. Look at Egypt. Egypt threatened. They said there's no way we will allow the Gazans to leave. And look what's happened, Brandon. By the way, by allowing Hamas between 500,000 to 700,000 into the Gaza Strip, America have promised them billions and billions of dollars. So there is an Egyptian incentive to do that, Brandon. They will get billions of dollars from America. And if they don't agree and they don't implement this and don't follow through, they will miss out. And their economy is in very serious condition. So they are pretty motivated to go ahead with this. It's insane.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, guys, stay tuned for Crosstalk with Jim Schneider, vcy.org. That's our broadcast. Take care. All right, joining me back is Aaron, our reporter from Israel, who's in the U.S. He'll be with us again on April 15th at the Waukesha Expo Center. Full details at worldviewtube.com/events. And to register for that, and please spread the word far and wide. It's our Worldview Radio Understanding the Times rally. Okay, so how informed are you finding the folks here? You've only been here a few days, I know, but you've been around enough. How informed are they? Are you shocked or in a positive or a negative way as far as being aware of what's happening?
Well, good question, because I'm getting a bit of both. I'm getting some people who know everything. They're in the news. They're behind it.
Any of them listening to us?
Yes, a few. In fact, that's how I got some of the invitations, because people that are watching Worldview. So there you go. But yeah, some people who are plugged in, who are, watchmen. They're sounding the shofar just like we're doing. But then, for example, I spoke at a church last evening, and people really they weren't plugged in. They love the Lord. But when it came to Israel and what's going on, as I was making statements, I was saying, "Did you hear about this? Did you know about it?" And I got very, very little feedback. So, yeah, bit of.
So how did they respond after you spoke? How did they respond to you?
Well, in positive, because what I did is I tried to tie in, like we do here live. I tried to tie in what is going on with biblical prophecy, end time prophecy. I talked about the times of the Gentiles, the God using the wars, the October 7th, using the anti-Semitism around the world to bring his people back home to fulfill biblical prophecy. and I talked about the coalition of nations in the north, and all of that. And so I tried to paint a picture, and he definitely sowed the seeds. And handshake at the door, smile, and pat on the back, and generally, nice Southern smile and positive feedback.
Okay. Of course, we don't consider Indiana part of the South, but that's okay. Don't worry.
It's interesting, Brennan, because their accents, I keep saying to them, you guys sound like you're from the South. And they say, no, we're not.
They're very Midwest. That's the Midwest.
I know.
Wait till you get down here to Mississippi and Tennessee. It's gonna get real obvious. So, are they watching mainstream media? Are they watching Fox News? What are they watching? Why are these people so uninformed? Do they believe you? Do they act shocked? Do they act embarrassed they don't know it? Are any of them buying into the media lies about the PLO and the Palestinians and Hamas? Any pushback?
Look, I don't know the answer because I only met them at the door. I only met them, but my guess is if you could see where we are, we're in the middle of the countryside. I'm staying on a place that's 100 acres of land. There's a gas station. There's a little diner. There's practically nothing out here. So for them, to be way out here, Israel is not that important, and world events is not really that important, and that's what I'm guessing. But like I said, there are some people that are definitely tuned in, locked in. One young man and his wife, I mean, this guy was only in his early 20s. He was hungry. He had a fire burning. He wanted to know more. He was asking deep questions. I gave him my card. We're going to keep in touch. I tried to do a little pitch about coming on a tour to Israel and learning more about the borders and the boundaries. So there's a bit of work to do here for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's so needed because there are so many people that just are not informed. They just don't know.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know what they don't know. They don't know,
No.
that's the thing. I mean, some of them are, ignorant and uninformed. Others are deceived. And that's the thing about deception.
You know what it reminds me of, Brannon? If you look at the story of Gideon, how the Lord siphoned down the 32,000 to 22,000 to 10,000 and then 300. What did he say to those? He said to that were afraid. He just said, "Go home, go home." And what does that mean? It means he's given up on them. I just think it means they miss out on the action. They miss out on seeing the glory like the 300. The 300, I mean, man, their hearts must have been pumping. They must have been on dopamine, high speed, wondering whether they were going to make it out alive. They did, and they saw the glory of God. So for me, these people, they miss out on the excitement of seeing the biblical prophecies
Indeed.
being fulfilled.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Aaron LaVarco on the ground. Check out his schedule, lighttothenationsministry.com. He's going to Arizona next. He'll be with us on Tuesday evening, April 15th at the Waukesha Expo Center. Free, but you got to register. Full details, worldviewtube.com/events. Thank you, Aaron. Thanks, folks. We'll be back tonight with Worldview Report, Washington Report, and Brennan House Live. Take care.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer,